Hey everyone, it's the Grumpy Meeple, and I am back with a very impromptu, very off the cuff video where I thought I might take a look at Monsterpocalypse in Tabletop Simulator and kind of learn it with y'all, the viewing audience, just to mess around with it because I'm super excited about the campaign. I put a video up about it um, this evening, and I really wanted to see if it's as kind of streamlined as I think it's going to be. So I'm pretty much almost done kind of setting up for my very basic demo. I'm just going to have one monster and 2 units on each side, and then I'm only using the basic buildings. So when you're setting the game up, usually you would have a wide selection of monsters, units, buildings. The buildings all have their own little special abilities, which is why you might choose them. For instance, the apartment building just says special rule, high density. This building is not limited to 4 per player. So typically you can only put 4 types of a building out. This one you can put as many as you want. And it's got a defense of 5. So it has to take 5 or more, or 5 damage. We'll get into that. And then the downtown high-rise has 2 special rules. It says if a non-mechanical monster destroys it with a brawl attack, after the attack has been resolved, restore 1 point of health to the monster. So bio monsters heal when they destroy downtown high-rises. They also have this rule of security building. If you are securing this building, allied units adjacent to this building gain +1 boost die when participating in brawl or blast attacks. So this is a way of getting you extra boost die, which is the blue. So you can see already there would be some strategy in where you place these, and because you would want them to be secure, easily secured, and kind of your positioning, right? Because you might want to be in between 2 of these buildings that you control to get 2 extra boost die on an attack. So already I'm starting to learn a little bit about how this game works, and I'm very excited about what I'm seeing. I believe this is the guy that I picked. I'm just getting all the pieces out here. I've got the rules kind of bound over here in the corner. I hope that's not too terribly annoying. I need it though, so that I can know how to play a game. Okay. So I just thought we would just start setting up, basically. Start from go. I'm gonna have both teams over here, basically. So it says the first thing you do is you decide the first player. So to do that, each team rolls 5 dice, 5 of the action dice. So that's 6. I'll just pull 1 out. So bad guys roll. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bangs. And good guys roll 2. Bad guys win. It says the player who rolls the most strikes wins. If it's a tie, then you re-roll. The loser gets to choose the battle map. Good guys are choosing Comet Catastrophe. Winner of the setup roll chooses the color zones on the battle map each player will use. You can only use the spawn points that correspond to your color. So basically you're deciding, I believe that these are the spawn points. Red, green, and blue, or maybe it's just red and blue. The green look exactly the same, but there are far less of them, it seems. So that seems a little odd. Let's just say it's red and blue. So bad guys are going to say, well, we want to be blue. Winner of the setup roll places the first building, places their monsters first, and takes the first turn. So the first thing you do is you take turns placing your buildings on the foundation spaces on the battle grid. So the foundation spaces are the spaces that have an outline. And there's a green and there's a yellow. The rule is basically you have to have placed on all of the green before you can place on the yellow. Each foundation has a colored border that indicates the order. Players must fill all green bordered foundations before placing a foundation on a yellow, or a building on a yellow foundation. So the yellow foundations are going to be in your base. The green ones are going to be in neutral territory. For the most part, it looks like. Yeah, there's some exceptions, but okay. So we just take turns setting them. So like I said, I only took 2 building types, so we'll just say monsters decide, because this building actually benefits the monsters, they probably want to hold off on these. Or actually they would want, I don't know, it's a tough call. If they want to play aggressively, they would want to get them out there so that they're right in the kind of shit. So like I think that this is legal. I might do that as the monster player. Meanwhile, the Mecha player, it benefits him too, just not as much. So he might, put one there. Monster player puts one there. Mecha player puts one there. Monster player puts one there, so forth and so on. And obviously this would be much more interesting if you were using a bunch of different types of buildings, but I'm not. I'm just using these boring green and basic ones because I don't know how to play the game yet. Here. And what green spaces are there? The spaces are a little hard to read on this map, but not too bad. So there you go. I think that's all the green spaces, and then you just continue taking turns filling in the rest of the spaces. So maybe there. I don't know the exact strategies, obviously, that you might use in placing these. This is the first time I'm playing it. I haven't really even watched like a playthrough video. Maybe the apartment buildings actually do nothing. They're just you get dice for destroying buildings, so there might be an incentive to try and populate the middle of the map or something, or to make sure that some of these center spots are taken so that when you do get into it, you're getting your bonuses. So forth and so on. This would obviously go a lot faster if I knew what the hell I was doing. Something like that. So you can see your board is going to end up being asynchronous and potentially different every time, which is really cool. That's it for the buildings. Once all the buildings are in place, the winner of the setup roll places their monsters on the battle map. Then the other player does the same. Monster must be placed so their base touches the edge of your battle map. So this guy's gonna start right there, coming down the street. And Defender X, because he's a stalwart defender of the weak, he's going right up the middle. And they just have to be on this back line. God, this already looks cool, even in this relatively kind of primitive tabletop simulator version. They have a version of this on Tabletopia. I didn't like it as much, and I don't know how to use Tabletopia quite as well as I do Tabletop Simulator, so that's why I decided to try this out here. Pull these see all this stuff at the same time. And then you can see I just selected 2 units for each group because I'm just doing this as a demo, and I don't even know that I'll get to real combat. Make sure you have your 10 action dice. See, he doesn't. He's screwed up. He's got to get his action dice together here. What is the G to group? It's actually been a while since I played this at all. Ugh. Hell knows. I wasted way more time on that than I needed to. Make sure you read 10 action dice, 10 action dice, 10 power dice, power dice, power dice. And at least 6 boost dice. They have a boost dice bag. Now with everything set up, it's time to start tearing it down. So you can see, like I was saying, even the setup is tactical in nature because you're building the map and you're making decisions that will benefit your team. And the fact that because you have a variety of potential building zones, depending on the number of buildings you use every game, and the types of buildings, the more of this stuff you have, like I said, this map is never going to look the same, essentially, which is really cool. Unless you wanted it to, you could have like a pre-built, like predefined like tournament map, or just like a quick start map where you're just like, okay, we're going to use all apartment buildings, we're just going to put them out. We just want these guys to brawl. That might be something good to do with my son, for instance. All right, everything's set up. Game in a nutshell. Series of turns. On your turn, you choose to perform either a monster or unit activation. To activate units of monsters, you must be able to spend action dice from the appropriate dice pool. If you have no action dice in your monster pool, you can't perform a monster activation. If you have no action dice in your unit pool, you can't perform a unit activation. This is probably a good reason to have more than 2 units, because I suspect that I won't even have access to all my dice, but that's fine. This is just a demo. Okay, so we can't activate the monster, right? We're gonna have to activate units first. Because all of our dice, the dice start in the unit pool. They're showing the monster activation here. Unit activation. Unit pool becomes active pool. Spawn phase. You can spend action dice to bring units into play from your unit reserves. This is called spawning. Spawn any number of units as long as you have enough action dice. Units spawned at the beginning of your turn can advance and attack in the same turn. Spawn a unit. You must spend action dice from your unit pool equal to the unit's cost. One thing I will note is that this version in Tabletop Simulator does still use the old kind of UI. I don't know, the design UI. That was really stupid. So the cards don't actually look like this anymore, but you can see they're pretty basic either way. And so the Strike Fighter has a cost of 1, and the Elite Strike Fighter has a cost of 2. And you can see he does a little more damage with his blast attacks. Has some special abilities. That's why he's elite. Be elite. Be the elite. Anybody else watching AEW? The Super Elite? Come on. I've thought about making a video about it for the channel, but I don't want to start a rebellion making non-board game related stuff. I don't know if anybody would even be interested, but I've been watching it and having a good time with it. Okay, spawn a unit, spend action dice from your unit pool equals unit cost. Take the unit from your reserves and place it on one of your spawn points. You can only spawn units from your unit reserves. So one thing that's annoying is, to this point, I'm not seeing a guide on like what the symbology on the board means. I don't know if they just like spell it out textually. But I don't know what this shit means, so I don't know what a spawn point is. Perhaps they reference it later. So that would seem like something you would want to reference pretty early on. Here we're seeing some map symbology. Here we go. Spawn points are spaces on the map where units can enter the game. There are two types of spawn points, standard and neutral. Color coded each player's standard spawn points, blah, blah, blah. Neutral spawn points do not begin the game under any player's control. Each player can try to take control of a neutral spawn point during the game by holding the adjacent activators. Oh, I see. So if you have a model holding an activator space next to a neutral spawn point, then you control that spawn point. So you move a tank here, you can spawn here. Very cool. But for now, these are the basic spawn points. So we'll just say our big bad guy says, okay, I'm going to spawn my snatcher there. And I believe that he just cost the one die. Yeah. I'm trying to remember, is spawning... yeah, no, he's just in a unit turn now, so he can spawn as many as he wants. So he's also going to spawn his Snatcher Elite right there. The Elite costs 2 dice. These costs seem like they're pretty consistent. And so you see this is how you kind of move dice between monster and unit. So when they're spawned, they can activate. One action, die to move that unit into an adjacent space that it can... Oh, if you want to spawn a unit on a spawn point that's already occupied, you can spend an extra action dice to move that unit onto an adjacent space it can legally occupy before you pay the cost for the one you want to spawn. That's cool. Yeah, advance and attack. Okay, so and so that's it. That's the whole spawn phase for the monsters. Then next they would move into. Let's see, this is all. Yeah. The advancement phase. Each of your units can make a full advance. See main game mechanics page number XX. Kind of wish there was a number there, but okay. I'm assuming. Yeah, there's a number on here. So speed of 5. Yeah, so each of these guys can move up to 5 spaces. And so maybe they would move, 1, 2, 3. You might not want to move here because that's destroyed. I think that does damage or something. 5. I don't know what the purple spawn points do. And I don't know if they can move diagonally. Let's say there. Or there. And then our Kaiju has a speed of 7. but we can't activate him because we're on the unit turn. The attack phase, attack any number of units. If you have action dice remaining in your unit pool, you can move any number of them to your monster pool. So he might look at the monster card and say, well, if I want to be able to get in there and attack this turn, I'm going to need, or I can use up to 8 dice on my brawl. So this is on its kind of elite side right now. Up to 7 dice. So I need to start getting some of those over, but I also want to be able to move and attack with these guys in a future turn, so maybe I won't. Maybe I would just kind of stick with that. And so that's a turn. And in the first round, that's what it's going to be, is spawning and then moving. So he spawns, spends 3 dice, and maybe he decides, you know what, I really want my monster to be able to get shit done next round. So I'm going to drop them all over there. So your opponent is looking over and he's saying, oh, he's obviously going to activate his monster. Because I don't believe you have to, like, go back and forth. I think you can decide. Yeah, you choose to perform either a monster or unit, or monster activation or unit activation. All you have to do is have the dice. Leave a few dice behind in each pool. It's tempting to exhaust your dice pool so you can do more each turn. Sometimes having just one action die in your monster pool is enough to make your opponent think twice about body slamming your monster into a block of buildings. That one die could allow you to return the favor. Yeah, because there are no action dice in your monster pool when you start the game, the first turn of every game will be a unit activation. So then I would go back to and I'll just grab his stuff and move it over here. And that kind of is the game. Obviously, there's combat. There are these buildings which can be destroyed. But that's like the turn order, basically. The monster turn is basically identical. The only difference is they don't spawn. So instead of the spawn phase, they have the power phase. Begin your monster activation by powering up. When you power up, you add 1 power die to your power pool for each power zone your units hold in each building your units are securing. In addition, your opponent loses 1 power die from their power pool for each negative zone you hold. So there's this element of holding. Obviously, there's lots of rules here. I'm skipping over almost all this because I'm really just trying to get like the most basic sense of how it plays. Power zone. Each time you power up, you gain 1 power zone. You gain 1 for each power zone held by one of your units. So I did move my Snatcher Elite on there, so I'm powering up. I would get a power die. Buildings, models, serve obstacles. Securing. When 3 of your units are adjacent to a building and no enemy units are adjacent to it, you are securing the building. So in this game, because I foolishly chose only 2 players, I can't do that. But let's just say for fun that we've finally gotten to this point and it's Defender X's turn. And let's say he had come across a couple of those dice and he still has all those kind of action dice. Now we can do some of the cool stuff. So he's gonna do an attack. He's powered up. He could have advanced, but he doesn't. Maybe he wants to. You know, maybe he's looking around and he's saying, I want to be able to slam this guy into this building, so I need to move here or something like that. But I'm just going to say that he was here and he just moved up. Prepare for extermination. This campaign for this game got me so amped that I immediately had to sit down and show my kid Pacific Rim for the first time, my son. So that was really fun. And I was so amped after watching Pacific Rim that I decided to do this demo. So there you go. It's kind of like feeding on itself. You can spend action dice and power dice to have your monster make a brawl attack, blast attack, or power attack. Each of your monsters can make only one attack per monster activation unless your monster has a special rule allowing an additional attack. So Defender X is going to get to do one attack unless something says he can do two. He's got some special rules. Disruption. Enemy models participating in an attack while within 2 spaces of this model lose 1 boost die on their attack rolls. Oh, very cool. He's mechanical. And Safeguard. If you're securing one or more building, you gain an additional power die. He's not doing that. So he's got a Brawl, Blast, and a Power Attack. And I think he's going to do a Power Attack. So let's just take a look, and then I'll probably cut it off here. But this looks super fun to me. Type attack, target, number of dice, roll the dice. So this number in here is the number that you can roll. I don't believe it's the minimum number. You have to have 1 action die from the active pool. And then you can add dice to roll up to that number. So if he's going to do an action, a power attack, he's going to grab 5 power dice right off the bat. It shows here he gets 4 boost dice when he does this. When he does a power attack. I assume that that's different for each guy. See, he can only add 6 to a power attack, but he does still get the 4 boost dice. So he can add 1 more, actually. So he's got all these dice already. Yeah, certain types of attack, weapon stats, boost number of boost dice you roll for free. Power dice. Monsters, you earn power dice, and you can add any number of them. So he's going to blow it out. And he's doing a power attack. Power attacks are special attacks that only monsters can perform. They differ slightly from Brawl and Blast. You must roll at least 1 power die as well as 1 action die. So you have to have a power die to do a power attack. That makes sense. So here you go, the power attacks. Body slam. Ram. Your monster bashes its body into a building to hit enemies on the other side with flying wreckage. Rampage. Charges straight ahead and attempt to destroy every building and unit in its path. Very cool. So you can't do it if you've already moved. So you have to hold back your movement and you have to kind of be in position to do it. Stomp. Your monster slams a part of the body onto the ground. Okay, so that's like an AoE attack. Swat. Throw. Let's say he does a throw. Yeah. To make a throw power attack, the attacking monster must be aligned with the target monster. When throw attack hits, the attacker can place the target monster in a new location. This new location must be within the area shown in the diagram below. It can be a number of spaces away from the target monster's current location up to the number of power dice rolled for the throw. Okay, so it's just showing you can only throw him straight, and he's using 2 dice so he can throw him 2 spaces. This is so awesome. You can throw him. Target monster collides with each building unit asset and hazard, occupying the space. Okay, so I'm actually not sure that the throw does any damage by itself. I think the whole idea is you're supposed to throw them into something. So let's just do a body slam. Must be aligned. The body slam hits, place the target in a new location, also aligned. I saw this rule. Align. Monsters aligned, but then the monster on one entire edge of the monster's base touches one entire edge of the other model's base. So face to face, they are aligned. So he can do this. He's gonna do it, guys. If the body slam hits, place the target monster in a new location. So how do we know if it hits, though? Yeah, so you roll. You make your attack roll, count up the total number of strikes and compare it to the defense of your target. If the total number of strikes is equal to or greater, then the attack hits. So, Defender X is getting ready to body slam Yasheth. Yasheth has a hefty defense of 8. This guy is a brawler, a bruiser, a badass. Defender X has like 40 dice. He gets some. Now, let's see what happens. Oh my god. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Let me recheck that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah. So he gets a hit of 11. He surpasses the guy's defense. I don't believe you don't do any extra damage for like going way over it. You're just like doing the attack. So what you're really doing by adding extra dice or more dice is giving yourself more of a benefit, more of a chance to hit, and you're also with the power dice on something like a throw, you're dictating like the range of it. Okay. Damaging models. Yeah, that's what I'm rolling. Well, I don't know how much damage I did. Collides with each building unit, asset, and hazard occupying the space where it's placed. So maybe these don't do a default damage? Man, that doesn't sound right. Or maybe it is the sum of. Probably should have read this a little bit better, guys. It's okay. Determine another dice, roll a dice, and resolve the attack. Count the total number of strikes and compare it to the defense. The total number of strikes is equal to or greater the defense, the attack hits. Alright. so I hit. Attacks cause 1 point of damage every time they hit. Power attacks can result in additional damage. Okay, so he does 1 point of damage. We know that right off the bat. Yeah, shut this like, no. I'm down to 10 hit points. But he's also body slamming him. Make a body slam, power attack must be aligned. Place the target monster in a new location also aligned with the attacking monster. You can body slam a monster into any space except spaces occupied by a monster. So he basically picks him up and he can kind of move him wherever he wants. So he would body slam him here, destroying this building. There's a token for the destroyed buildings, or a tile, not a token. He destroyed that building because he's partially on it, so. Yeah, collides with each building unit hazard. Yeah. Each power attack does 1 point of damage when it hits, as well as having power attack under this roll. So, Defender X. Godzilla takes 1 point of damage from the hit, 1 damage for colliding with the building, and 1 damage for the hazard. Yeah, so there's a hazard. Not entirely sure where those tokens are in this setup. All these different awesome buildings. I thought that they might be in there. Let's see them. Anyways, there's a hazard here now because he destroyed this building, so it looks like this. So he takes 1 point of damage for the attack, 1 point of damage for colliding with the building, and 1 point of damage for ending on the space. That is now a hazard. So, 3 damage. You bastard. And so forth and so on. So you're slamming yourself around, you're destroying stuff. I don't want to get too into this because, I'm trying to play this by myself, and that's boring as hell, and it's late, and I really wanted to get this out before the campaign ends. But that's the basic idea of it. Moving around on the map, you got your spawn points, you got your control points, you got your buildings that do different things. There are like dozens of these things you can see right here. Corporate headquarters, it's got its own special rules. While you're securing this building, enemy models lose cloak and cannot gain it. So the corporate headquarters reveals cloaked enemies. I don't know what cloak does. Sounds bad. Sounds good to be able to remove it. Trade policy, when you're powering up, if you're securing this building, your opponent loses 1 power die, so you can take die away from your opponent, and so forth and so on. Lots of different buildings, lots of different monsters. They're all going to interact with the buildings in such in different ways, different awesome ways. And so that's a quick look at Monsterpocalypse, and I couldn't be more excited about it after this. So I hope you enjoyed that. You've got less than a day to back the Kickstarter at this point if you did want to check it out. So I'll put a link to the Kickstarter below, and just make sure you hop on that if you want to get in on it. I will definitely be backing it at some level, and quite possibly all in, but we'll see. Okay, well, have a good rest of your night, and I will talk to you later.